Picture this. You're getting older, and suddenly, daily tasks become more challenging. The thought of a nursing home looms on the horizon, but something inside you hesitates. Is that really the only path forward? Hey there, friends. Today, we're going to explore a topic that touches all of us, the journey of aging and the choices we make along the way. I'm going to share 6 incredible stories that will challenge everything you thought you knew about growing older. You know, aging is one of life's certainties, like taxes, and that feeling when you finally find your phone in your hand while looking for it. But here's the thing, while we can't stop time, we absolutely can choose how we write our story. Too often, we think nursing homes are the default option when independence starts slipping away. But today, I'm going to show you how some remarkable individuals chose different paths. And let me tell you, their stories might just change the way you think about your own future. Let me introduce you to Grandpa Joe, an 85-year-old firecracker who wasn't about to let age dictate his lifestyle. Picture this spirited gentleman up before the sun peaks over the horizon, taking his daily walk around the neighborhood. His garden? It's his pride and joy. And those quiet afternoons with a good book? Pure bliss. Now, when his family started noticing his health wasn't quite what it used to be, they did what many loving families do: they suggested a nursing home. But Grandpa Joe? He wasn't having any of it. See, Joe understood something profound. He knew his limitations, sure, but he also knew what made his life worth living. Those morning walks where he'd wave to familiar faces, the local coffee shop where they knew his order by heart, the comfort of his own 4 walls. These weren't just routines. They were the threads that wove together the fabric of his life. With some creative thinking and a dash of stubbornness, Joe found a middle ground. A home care worker who drops by occasionally. Family members checking in. These small adjustments meant he could keep his independence while getting the support he needed. Now, let's talk about Mrs. Hargrove, a retired teacher who rewrote her own script in her 70s. After decades of shaping young minds in the classroom, she faced that familiar crossroads. But instead of following the well-worn path to a nursing home like many of her peers, Mrs. Hargrove made a choice that raised more than a few eyebrows. She moved to a vibrant retirement community that was anything but ordinary. Her family? They were skeptical, to put it mildly. Trading the familiar comfort of her old neighborhood for something completely new seemed risky. But here's where the story gets good. Within months, Mrs. Hargrove wasn't just surviving, she was absolutely thriving. She took her passion for knitting and turned it into community classes, sharing her skills with eager learners. That spark of purpose she found? It lit up her entire world. She discovered that sometimes the best way to stay young is to keep teaching, keep sharing, and keep growing. Let me tell you about Mr. Thompson, who's redefining what it means to be 92. While most people his age might be content with quiet afternoons watching TV, Mr. Thompson decided to become a world traveler. And we're not talking about those cookie-cutter cruise ship vacations. This gentleman chose to experience life as a true adventurer. Picture him strolling through Parisian streets, hiking Italian hillsides, and exploring ancient Greek ruins with the enthusiasm of someone half his age. What makes Mr. Thompson's story even more remarkable is how he travels. No luxury tours or guided groups for him. He immerses himself in local culture, stays in small apartments, and experiences each destination like a local. These aren't just trips to check off a bucket list. They're genuine adventures he'd always dreamed of, but never had time for during his working years. Now, at 92, he's living proof that it's never too late to start exploring. Speaking of breaking stereotypes, let me introduce you to Grandma Ruth, who's showing us all that age is no barrier to embracing technology. When faced with the choice between a nursing home and maintaining her independence, Ruth chose option. See, she became tech-savvy. With a little help from her grandkids, she transformed her home into a smart living space that would make Silicon Valley proud. Voice-controlled lights, smart locks, temperature control, Grandma Ruth mastered it all. But the real magic? How technology keeps her connected to her family. Through video calls, she watches her great-grandchildren grow up, participates in virtual family game nights, and stays an active part of her loved ones' lives. She's proof that you don't need to be a millennial to rock the digital world. Now, let's walk through Mr. Clark's garden, or should I say, his slice of paradise. At 79, this passionate gardener faced a challenge many of us can relate to. His body simply couldn't keep up with his ambitions anymore. His sprawling garden, once a source of immense pride and joy, was becoming more of a burden than a pleasure. But instead of giving up his beloved hobby entirely, Mr. Clark got creative. He downsized his garden, but not his passion. He transformed his space into something more manageable, focusing on plants that brought him joy without overwhelming his abilities. It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes scaling back doesn't mean giving up. It means finding new ways to nurture what we love. His smaller garden still produces beautiful blooms and vegetables, and more importantly, it continues to feed his soul. Finally, let me share Mildred's story, a tale that proves home really is where the heart is. At 84, Mildred made a decision that went against the conventional wisdom of moving to a nursing home. She chose to stay in the house where she'd spent over 50 years, where every room held memories of family gatherings, children growing up, and life's precious moments. Instead of uprooting her life, Mildred created a support system that worked for her. Regular visits from family members, grandchildren stopping by. After school, she found ways to maintain her independence while staying connected to the people and place she loved. Her home wasn't just a building. It was a living archive of her family's history, and she found a way to keep writing new chapters in those familiar walls. You know, friends, these stories teach us something powerful about aging. It's not about following a predetermined path. It's about finding creative solutions that honor who we are and what matters most to us. Whether it's embracing technology like Grandma Ruth, finding new adventures like Mr. Thompson, or adapting our passions like Mr. Clark, there are countless ways to write our own aging story. And here's the thing, these aren't just feel-good stories. They're blueprints for possibility. They show us that with a bit of creativity, support, and determination, we can maintain our independence, purpose, and joy no matter what number shows up on our birthday cake. The key isn't to fight against aging, it's to adapt and find new ways to thrive. As we wrap up today's video, I want you to think about your own story. Maybe you're watching this for yourself, or maybe you're thinking about a loved one. Remember that aging doesn't have to mean surrendering the things that make life meaningful. Sometimes it just means finding new ways to embrace them. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If any of these stories resonated with you, or if you have your own experience to share, drop a 9 or 0 in the comments below. Your story might just inspire someone else to think differently about their own journey. And hey, if you found value in today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell. There's plenty more inspiration and practical advice coming your way. Until next time, friends, remember, life's greatest adventures don't have an age limit. Keep living your best life, and I'll see you in our next video. Take care.